Hello, that's my last show today. We have Alexandra Dotcheva. She's a very amazing person. She's an amazing artist and a nurse. See how many capacities she has. She's amazing. So let's be with us till the end. We're going to talk about the holistic approach to self confidence. Welcome to my show, um, Alexandra.
Thank you very
So
much for
I'm
having
really
me.
amazed reading your bio to see how many things you did in your past and right now what you do because you've been a musician, a doctor of music, and now you're a nurse doing so many things. And I'm so proud to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So tell me about yourself. How come did you become a nurse after being a musician?
Oh, well, that's kind of a long story, but I was a musician for 26 years. Yes, I did pursue my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral in music, which I earned in 2007. But then in 2008, I decided to go into nursing because of the shrinking classical music market in the United States. An orchestra started going bankrupt, downsizing, competition was fierce, and I realized it was time to change my life and learn something besides music. So I went into science and I became a nurse in 2011. Ironically, that's exactly the year when the orchestra where I was employed bankrupted, and I had a job waiting for me in the ICU. I have been a nurse since then. I do home care nursing. I work with patients one on one, and I also do real estate investing and options trading. But of course, today we will focus on the health aspect of holistic self confidence, and we'll probably talk about health most, right?
Yes. So that's so interesting. We say by now we just talk about holistic healing, and this time we're going to talk about holistic self confidence. So, what do you mean by holistic approach to self confidence?
By that I mean that I like to elevate the five most important aspects of my life to where they're completely within my control and I'm independent in all these five aspects. To me, they're health, spirituality, career, finances, and relationships. And once I'm in complete control of these five aspects of my life, I am holistically self confident. And I did struggle with lack of self confidence for over 20 years. It was mostly self inflicted, and I managed to get out of this. So, this is why I talk to people right now and help them do the same.
So, because you are a musician as well, I really want to know how music can help us help self confidence and how music can help us heal.
Okay. Well, for one thing, music can be very elevating spiritually. If it touches you, different types of music have different impact on your emotions. And I was a classical musician, so I'm very well familiar with the Baroque classical era music, Romanticism, contemporary 20th century, 21st century music. I got schooling through all that. I was playing the violin, music from different epochs in music, different genres, right? If you practice music professionally from age 6, like I was, you learn self discipline tremendously and responsibility. So, as far as healing, when you're a responsible person, you're better able to take care of your health, right? If you integrate your knowledge about your violin practice and the consistency in your health aspect of your life, you can be very successful with your health management, right? And you don't get sick, you stay healthy. But music itself, listening is very therapeutic. It can be invigorating, it can be very inspiring, depending what you're listening and what your goal is when you listen to music.
So I know a lot of musicians. they have some PTSD problem because of sometimes you say, okay, you go to concert, you see them play, but the problem is there are lots of pressure sometimes practicing music, and it's like a project, right? It's a
Yeah.
teamwork and project to do the work done. And many of these musicians have some mental problems. Have you had this in your situation, or have you seen any of these cases studies?
I have seen, I think what you're referring to, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, is the musicians who basically didn't have a childhood because of very ambitious parents and teachers who pressured them to practice 10, 12 hours a day. And then there are some serious mental issues. I know the genius Michael Rabin, who died in his early 30s. He was a genius violinist, but there were some mental issues from what I have read and been told. Okay. Um, PTSD can come from various things. Things didn't go right on stage. Things got disorganized, like you said. In my case, the problem was stage fright. I developed horrible stage fright in my late teens and early 20s. And that was due to my not being satisfied with the way I had approached my instrument in the earlier years, because as children and teenagers, we always rush to be fast, to learn quickly, to show off to other people. And then I understood my foundation wasn't quite what I wanted it to be by the time I was early 20s and mid 20s. So that reflected very poorly on my stage confidence and respectively on my professional confidence and every other aspect of me, because all I was about was music, because that's all I knew for 26 years by the time I was 32. So that was my problem with I don't think I had PTSD. It was just really poor self-esteem and self-confidence that was mostly self-inflicted.
How can we improve self-confidence? Um, how can we help our kids to have a better self-confidence from childhood?
Well, we could we could prompt them to set their goals and be responsible for their goals early on. We can analyze the goals and what this goal will lead to. What is your dream? What makes you happy when you do an activity? Which activity makes you really happy and willing to get up the next morning and do it again? Adults are very much like children. When we get inspired with something that we are eager to perform, if we go back to that childhood mentality, that'll help us with everything we do. But as far as children getting inspired, well, for one thing, you need to offer them different activities. And the problem today, obviously, is these video games and sitting in front of a computer all day long, which doesn't give the children opportunity to see other aspects of life. You and I, when we grew up, we played in the streets. We interacted with other children. We gathered ideas, opinions. We met adversity, in real life adversity with other children. It's not like a video game. It's not like your computer where you can control, you can shut the button and say, okay, enough, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But with real children in your school and in the street, when you play with kids and learn the rules of the fair game versus cheating in a game, that's all life lessons, right? And if you explain this to a child early on and then see how this connects with a career choice or health choice or anything else in life, I think it's easier to guide the child through what makes sense and doesn't make sense on an individual basis in a whole life, because it's hard for a child to understand the adult perspective because they haven't lived that
Exactly.
long, right? And just offer them as much as you can as far as activities and opportunities and learning early on. And
And you actually refer to the good point about how parents can kill the self-confidence in the beginning by pushing their kids to be a champion. That happens on the stage with the music, or might be a sport or any kind of activities, right? Some because the parents actually didn't have this chance in their own life,
right,
and they try to push their kids to do what they didn't achieve in the past.
right, right. Yeah.
Exactly.
What can be done, you can always, the best thing is to cultivate a belief in yourself, in your child. You can achieve this if you want it, but if you don't achieve it, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
The thing is that you practiced and you worked on it. And the experience you gained from your practice and work will help you in something else that you decide to pursue. But build upon the experience instead of bashing the child if he or she failed at the first attempt to become good at some activity. And also, it's very important to teach the children, I think, not to necessarily go with the flow when other kids excel at something, that your kid necessarily has to excel at that. A very simple example I can give you, I can't stand carbonated drinks. As a child, I said that prickles my throat. I hate that. And our family physician told my mother, please don't think your child is behind everybody else because she doesn't like to drink Coca-Cola. Let her be. Let her drink water. It's fine. But the same so much applies in school subjects, school activities, anything that the child can excel or not excel. A child has to know that you can't be strong in everything. That's just unrealistic. You'll never find your passion if you try to be excellent at everything. And that was part of my time growing up. Yes, I had to score A's at everything I studied. And it was great for a little while until I grew up and I saw that was completely unrealistic and worthless as far as finding my own self and determining what I really wanted to do.
Exactly. So I started talking about the self-confidence from the childhood because lots of disease actually rooted from childhood, right?
Yes.
As a self-confident, a lot of kids I see, they don't get lots of attention, or vice versa, they get a lot of attention and they are pushed to do something and they lose their self-confidence, and then you'll see them with a lot of chronic disease, with a lot of depression, anxiety, So, uh, regarding the self confidence in a healing approach, let's say if you want to help, somebody with lots of chronic pain, how this self confidence related to that chronic pain? Um, how can you help the client, your patient, to improve self confidence and healing? Are they come together?
Yes, they can come together. So for one thing, we need to find out what the cause of the chronic pain is in the first place. Is it some injury? Is it a disease, a chronic disease that's causing the pain? This is the very first thing. Could be several causes. You strive to eliminate the cause as soon as possible rather than treating the symptom, meaning trying to decrease the pain without having found what the cause for the pain is. Okay, so it can be pain from a sports injury. Okay, can you modify your sport? Can you seek a chiropractor? Anything that can help your body recover itself other than surgery, which should be the absolute last resort, because once you go through surgery, very little can be changed, if at all. And if it goes wrong, it's that much worse. But pain can come from, like I said, different sources. Which type of chronic pain do you exactly refer to? Is it like because wounds can be very painful. I treat all sorts of patients. That's why I think that's kind of a broad question. But can you
Let's say
specify which pain?
autoimmune disease. Let's say autoimmune disease, for example.
Autoimmune disease. Oh my goodness. Yes. So this is one of the hardest things to treat by contemporary medicine, and it can cause many visual change, image changes, right? And lower your self-confidence. Not to mention it has the potential for multiple organ damage, autoimmune disease. And there are many types of autoimmune diseases. I have found that a lot of it can be corrected through diet. And
Mhm.
this is what doctors rarely teach the patients. They experiment with many very expensive medications that are long-term medications over months and years. And people take the medications. Some of them see improvement, others not really. But the main aspect, what are you putting in your body that is causing the inflammation and the overreaction of your immune system that has made it now attack its own host, which is you. and damaging your organs, your skin, your hair, everything, depending on the disease. Diet has been very rarely taught to the patients when I go to their homes, because I see patients who have been in the hospital and now they need some support in the home, or patients referred by their doctors to a home care nurse and therapist to get stronger or get some medication sorted out and then treat a bad wound or formation on the skin that was caused by the autoimmune disease. And I asked them, what are you eating? And then they show me their pantry, their fridge. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to take all these things, put them in a bag and give them to somebody you really don't like. But better throw them away, because even your worst enemy shouldn't be eating this type of food. So people don't get educated on diet and nutrition properly. And the other tremendous important components are exercise and detox. These are the three main components of health. Your diet, are you eating whole food, organic food that is free of pesticides, drugs such as antivirals, antibiotics, antifungals, hormones that suppress your immune system and it cannot fight infections, and carcinogenic pesticides? Are you purifying your water that you're drinking? Do you detox every day to remove the 20,000 to 2 million toxins that you get exposed to on a daily basis through your food, air, water, and any chemicals that you come across in your home or at your workplace, depending on your occupation? And are you exercising at least 4 days a week, at least 2 hours a day, intense cardio and weightlifting?
Yeah, and
And
you have to add rest as well, right? Sleep.
rest, so you sleep. Rest is great if it's well planned. Rest doesn't mean you waste your time wandering around what to do. That is not rest. Rest has to be just as planned as your health approach. And then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes an integrative system every day that you follow with integrity and consistency and self-discipline. And the diseases gradually just go away if they are man-inflicted diseases.
Yes. So, what do you have on your Facebook page and website? I see you are one of the um, rarest person have Twitter account. I never use Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not very
Yeah.
sure if I want to keep the Twitter. I've seen what happens with Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm experimenting with all these social accounts, and whichever one takes off first, I will put more time into it. Um,
Yeah.
the purpose of having multiple platforms is to help people who solely have one platform. If they prefer to follow on Twitter and not get
Exactly.
distracted, then you have a Twitter account. And I manage all of them. If I post something on Facebook, of course, I post it on the other accounts. It doesn't take much time if you plan well. But on my Facebook, I like to share my blog posts on Facebook. I like to share some dietary choices. Sometimes I post a picture of in a fitness attire to see that it can be achieved. Completely lean, muscular body with consistency and good dieting. I am a whole foods organic vegan. I have been that way for 4.5 years. Now in
Oh,
the
you
year
are vegan?
I am vegan. My boyfriend and I, we became vegan in December of 2017. And that's what made his high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and pre-diabetes disappear in a matter of 4 months. He had been with high blood pressure and cholesterol for 15 years, and it came back to normal for the first time in 15
Mm.
years, 4 months into the vegan diet. Yeah, he went to our doctor and blood work was done. But the pre-diabetes was what started in the middle of 2017, and he was so unhappy and anxious. And I said, let's go plant-based. I mean, mind you, I had stopped meat and poultry in 2000, but I was still eating eggs, cheese, I was drinking milk, okay? He stopped all animal products cold turkey in December of 2017. I just had to get rid of the dairy, the eggs and the butter and all that derivative animal stuff and the seafood because it's just as contaminated, honestly. So diet, I post about diet on Facebook and the other platforms. The website has a blog, which is relatively new. I have posted 7 posts so far. I don't go for quantity, I really go for quality. So every 2 weeks or 20 days, I will post a new article on the blog, and people can find my book on the website and through Facebook. So this is what I use Facebook and my website for.
Can you show your book? It's a pretty thick book.
It is, yeah, it came pretty quick because, like I said, I discuss more aspects than just health in a holistic self-confidence approach.
Beautiful.
But it is all based on personal experience. I have not made a single recommendation in this 393-page book that I don't do myself every day. And the reason I wrote the book is because I succeeded with the system I am applying to my life. And I just decided to share it with people because it's frustrating to go from home to home as a nurse and see that people are lacking prosperity in their health, finances, and relationships. These are usually the three big ones. But I go health perspective, but then when I go to your house, I see other problems, right? It's not like you come to the hospital. When I was working in the hospital, I just see your health problem. But when I go to your home, there are many things I learn about people just by spending an hour and a half.
I believe in it. Exactly. Because if you don't have a good family relationship, or if you don't live with a loved one, if you're alone, of course that's gonna affect your health. If you're financially broke or you're struggling
Yes,
months to months, so yes, definitely it's gonna affect your health. So it's not only physical body, it's a lot of things related to health.
exactly.
Yeah. So can you just summarize that 5 thing again, and then we go from there?
The 5 things are health. And as a healthcare professional, I'm very biased towards health. So I've dedicated 5 chapters of the book to health and how to bring it at a 100% optimal level in your control. Then spirituality, career, finances, and relationships. So in the United States, the healthcare system is the most profitable business. Healthcare is the most profitable business I live in the United States. And it's also the first cause of personal bankruptcy. This is why I'm so adamant about people getting full control over their health via sound knowledge based on good research, not just what's propagated by the animal industry and the pharmaceutical companies, right? And then you can prosper financially because you won't have to go to doctor's appointments and waste time from building prosperity in other areas of your life. You won't have to pay ridiculous healthcare bills and compromise your finances, right? And then you will learn to choose your relationships more wisely based on how everybody around you is influencing you, consciously or unconsciously, right, on their part. Who is a good influence on your life? Who is not so good influence on your life? Who can you better influence that's around you, and who wouldn't listen at all and do their own thing? So you learn to separate relationships based on quality versus quantity. And that also helps with your health and time prioritization and everything else.
Thank you so much for being here. If you have any last word, like a sentence can give hope to people who are struggling with self-confidence, please do.
Yes, I can assure you that you can do anything that you want if you put your mind into it and trust yourself and just take the time to do the proper studying and research and take it as a step-by-step, even if you have to start from scratch. It's completely doable. I experienced it in my 30s and I didn't think I could do it, but I made myself do it. And it was the best decision I ever made. And if you want the help with the book, you can find it at www.holisticselfconfidence.com. The ebook format is available to people outside of the United States. It's a very quick download, much more inexpensive than the paperback version. No shipping prices involved. Please get the book and see how a very simple system can be applied to all of your life aspects. And if you have any questions, never hesitate to use the contact form on my website, and I'll be more than willing to engage in a conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. I love our topic. And I wish all my audience be self-confident, happy, and healthy.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Please subscribe to Contact Transition channel and order my book, The Gap, in Amazon. Thank you for